So what's really up with Gilmore, Greg? Any common issues with his pass interference calls? I don't fault him for, the perfect Wilson rainbow throw on the touchdown. But what's going on? Pretty much overall, the idea from Scurvy Dog is, what's up with Stephon Gilmore?
Yeah, well, a couple things. But one thing I want to say that I disagree with it. And I love Teddy Bruschi. I have a ton of respect for him. But I do know on WEI.com or WEI this week, he said in his weekly interview that he thinks Stephon Gilmore deserves more respect from the refs. Like, I just completely disagree with that. I mean, this is a guy who has gotten away with holding people all over the place for years.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, give Gilmore credit. He hasn't gotten called for it. And when you get away with it, it's called being a professional and a veteran and knowing what you're supposed to be doing. But there's no doubt. Nobody can deny that he holds a lot. And that penalty last weekend was a blatant penalty. It should have been called.
He had him like an MMA move. He had him in an arm bar. Yeah, that's an obvious flag.
There you go. And so, look, he's getting called for it a little bit more. They're actually – flags are way down this year, so it's part of the reason why scoring is up.
Yeah, holding is down. Yep.
But Gilmore's got to, when you get in a position where you're the only guy and down the field and everybody's looking, your man coverage, you just got to watch the hands a little bit. You just got to watch, actually taking a guy and pulling his jersey. Just get on the arm, like give him a little tug. And I thought all the calls have been legitimate so far. I do think I've mentioned it before. I have had some issues with Gilmore in those like 1 o'clock games where his concentration can wane. It can. It's just he sometimes with those 1 o'clock games against nondescript opponents, he doesn't want to be there. He's at his best in the biggest games with the biggest stakes. He definitely comes to play those games. And I just think, look, he missed some of training camp with a personal situation, which in other words means a holdout to get $5 million more from the Patriots. And so maybe he didn't get all the reps he needed. I think there's some of that. But I wouldn't panic about Stephon Gilmore. Let's see what happens this week. If all of a sudden Sammy Watkins, who I don't even think is that good, gets a lot of him, then I'll be worried. But I expect him to be dominant in this game. And I actually expect the Patriots to move him around a little bit more in this game and not just waste him on Watkins.
Yeah, that's one question I have for you before we get to our pick for this week's game is you mentioned Gilmore moving around at camp and, bringing a different kind of flair to the defense that you hadn't necessarily seen. Have you seen that so far this season through the first 3 weeks?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we've seen him and now that we've seen it in games, we could talk about it.
Yeah, now you can say it.
Yeah, he played slot a lot, which was different. And, they still leave Jones as the slot, which they should. But I think they were repping for certain matchups, and maybe it was the Chiefs. Who knows? I mean, that's really, between Tyler Lockett and now Tyreek Hill, I just don't think Gilmore can keep up with Hill speed wise. Jones has a much better. You got to put a safety over the top. And if you thought Stephon Gilmore grabbed before, wait till he's matched up with Tyreek Hill, and then he'll be like tackling him off the line of scrimmage. But
grabbing his jersey constantly.
Exactly. So, we have seen a little bit more. I just think they were laying the groundwork for this team to be a little bit more tougher to prepare for in terms of matchups. And I think we will see that as the season goes along.